going? Well, the Monday after. It's been an interesting emotional experience. We're still kind of on the high yesterday, and today there's this crash. Miles was telling me about, performers who've gone through like some major performance thing, a huge concert or a series of concerts, even like a major road tour, whatever. You reach some point where it's over, and there's this emotional letdown crash thing. And Kimmy actually, with Mythical Airs, was telling me she was going through that when hers was over. Apparently, I hadn't quite gotten there yet. Yesterday, today, I was. A lot of people really, until you do it, right? Until you are in the place where you are organizing all of these projects and looking at all the costs involved, all the artists, all the graphics people, all the time and man hours being put in by other people who deserve to be paid for their efforts, plus the fees, right? And plus charges for this, and just planning and plotting, and then you throw in all these extra stuff when you're trying to really generate excitement. Basically, what it comes down to is the walkaway money is not all that much. And it's okay, right? Intellectually, I get that. But you see those big numbers, and you're like, oh my God, that's going to be so much more. Then you go back and kind of have to go to the reality check and go, oh, but I said this book, this book, this book, and this person, this person, this person, and that's what it is. Don't cry for me, Argentina, right? The emotional support is incredible. I'm going to be producing a lot of books I get to sell, right? I'll make money off of those. It's cool. It was just, but oh, look at those dollar signs, and I'm supposed to. But it's all good. It's all good. And I owe it a little bit, right? And it'll be fine. It'll be cool. But I'm just sharing with you guys the roller coaster, right? So it's been interesting. Here's the interesting part. We're also going to be basically continuing the party, as Miles put it. Really, it's kind of intriguing. You think of the Kickstarter as, boom, it's over, and that's it, you did it, and you're going. But there's all these people, a lot of you people who are really wanting to do more. First off, there was people who tried to get in last minute bumps to their stuff, and for some reason it didn't go through. Last minute, whatever. Then there was just people who were like, look, I really wanted to do more, but I wasn't getting paid until this point, and this comes after. So picking up from some examples of some other folks who've done Kickstarters, realizing we can basically continue the party, as it were, and Seven's Mojo is going to be setting that up. Now, to be very clear, the Kickstarter was supposed to be a very special time, with very special things for people who really committed at that time, and that will still be true. We're going to honor a lot of those things. Will only have been for the Kickstarter. Don't worry that we're going to suddenly pull off the rug and say, oh, I didn't have to do anything. Really you did, because there was a lot of stuff that only people, for example, I just say the big thank you, right? The free character, that's in the thing with this flash fiction, and Corinne doing the cool miniature, that's only for those of you who did during the Kickstarter, right? So you definitely, if nothing else, those things are only for you. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes, but some of the pledge level things, right? The ability to build up more money to get the books funded. Now, Jen, I know you're really excited about the fact that we basically set it up so there'd be almost no chance that we won't do the Brinchy book, right? And some of the other ones that were lined up. And we talked about last night how I'd have to fold some of that stuff in. But now that we've decided to go ahead and go forward with the continuation of people being able to fund, and basically treating it kind of like as a pre-order kind of thing in some ways. And it'll be mechanically a little different, but basically it will be opportunity to get in and play or to purchase certain levels of status that get you certain things, is what it comes down to. So that's in the works. keep an eye out. We put out an update on that, as a matter of fact. If you didn't get on the Kickstarter, go check the Kickstarter. Even though it's funded, check the latest updates. You'll see what's going on. Keep it on the Savage Mojo site, because that's where it's going to happen. So that's cool stuff. Pretty excited about that. Of course, we can't. We're not going to do that in place of the things that have to get done. So our first priority, and poor Gail, poor sweet Gail, busted her tail end on getting all the data collated and putting together the formats for the stuff that's going to go out. We got to go over it. All that's first priority. All the stuff that's got to be done now. Y'all who bid, you had the money yanked out of your account, so you have a reason to expect stuff's going to happen, and we are not shirking our duties there. I promise you that. We've started right off on it. I want to bring up real quick the ENnie Awards. I consider this to be an important part of our hobby and our industry, and you really need to check out the ENnie Awards and vote. It is a fan-driven thing, so it's all about you. It's all about what you liked this year, who you care about in terms of product and support. And I can promise you, every single publisher, every single artist, every single author, every single designer, graphics person, everyone involved cares about these awards. They mean a lot to us. I genuinely pray Shinetar gets nominated next year, because that by itself would be a massive honor for me, a real recognition. And this is, it's our Academy Awards. And for people who don't care about the Academy Awards anymore, maybe it's even better, because we really do care about these awards. They're run by really great people. They're well done. It's a classy yet fun event. I'm really proud to have been involved in it. Every year I've been at least one of the dream dates, which high-end celebrity kind of thing, which makes me always feel kind of special, red carpety. I've been a presenter a few years. I received, hang on, I'll show you something really cool. And I say I received this, but I share this with all the rest of the drive-thru people, but they let me hold on to it. The Drive-Thru RPG special recognition for our Haitian relief fundraising. Still chuckling when I think about it. This, nothing will ever beat how proud I am of this, because we did some amazing things. But I'm just saying, it means a lot, and it's a good bunch of people. So you definitely want to be involved in that. Look down in the notes below, not on here because I can't embed links outside of certain things, but in the show notes, basically. Or just Google ENnie Awards and go find it and vote. It's really cool. It's really powerful. It's really cool. It's an important part of our hobby. Imaginary Friends. Let me tell you about that real quick. I actually did the Savage Worlds conversions of the champion stats for Michael Satrin's Imaginary Friends, which is probably one of the most unique champions books ever. Okay, it's done by Blackwyrm, and Dave is, what's Dave's last name?
Which Dave?
Dave Blackwyrm, the cool maps.
Oh, Mattingly.
Dave Mattingly, thank you. See, she's like my actual brain. Dave Mattingly, I'm sorry, dude, I'm still a little brain fogged. Blackwyrm, they continue, and basically it was funny because Shane's actually sort of the one that tipped off to this too. I was the hero system guy. I'm kind of the savage guy for a lot of people. So really, I was kind of the perfect person to do both. And there it is. I did the translations for that. It was really interesting to come up with Savage World Super stats for Michael's very, very intriguing imaginary friend characters and everything else that's in that book. So anyway, that's something that's being released. It was kickstarted also, by the way. And we are doing the Beautiful Brains chat this coming Thursday. I'm planning on being there for that. And you guys remember me actually co-hosting Beautiful Brains a couple weeks ago, I think. It was just a week ago. I don't know. I've lost track of time. But anyway, that's Beautiful Brains Books and Games. And they got the Backroom chat, which is a typing chat thing. But check that out. I'll also put a link in the show notes for that one. And that'll be 9 p.m. Eastern. Thursday. I want to share this quote from a very dear friend of mine that just appeared on the Facebook group tonight, or I just came across it anyway. A lot of discussion about how JNL, Justice in Life, the campaign works. Still, people trying really trying to grok exactly what I mean for this, and so they're thinking in terms of, okay, well, if I do this adventure, what if other people do this adventure? Who gets to be the team that writes the report about it? And I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to be thinking about it in terms of everybody doing the same adventure. And no, that's not what's supposed to happen. Um, you're supposed to be doing unique personal stories. I mean, yes, we're going to put out there one sheets and other adventures because there are GMs that just they really want that, and I want to give them that. But Justice in Life's not supposed to be about that. So Chris Casera put it really well when he said, "Remember that J&L GMs are not sharing pre-written adventures, but plot hooks and ideas." So, for example, Jimmy Tyner had put out there, so he had this really cool idea, the Bone Finder, I think it was called, and he was like, well, what if I do this story, but then we'll put it out there, can other people do the same one? And Chris was like, don't think it in terms of people doing the same adventure, but people taking stuff that happened in your reported adventure and taking those plot hooks and going someplace else with them. And he did a brilliant evaluation of that. So you need to check out the Facebook group, the Shantar Legends of the Facebook group, because Chris did a really cool thing with that. All right, I want to also share another cool thing. This is branching off of the whole, the big thank you, as we call it, which, again, people get to know the characters and get flash fiction, all that. Gail and I were talking, and great minds think alike. I was thinking in terms of this. Corinne actually was also thinking very much in terms of this. And I've been kind of pulling some ideas together. One of the things I'm going to end up pulling together out of the end of all this when we get done is something called Feathers of the Raven. That's what I'm going to call it at this point. And this is the description I came up with today. He wanders the world in his etherical raven form, leaving behind great black feathers as evidence of his presence. He looks in on many people, some heroes, some villains, some just those making their way through each day. He watches, learns, and considers each thread of the tapestry that ultimately makes up the whole of Shinetar. Feathers of the Raven is a collection of all the flash fiction created for each and every backer of the Shinetar Legends Unleashed Kickstarter, providing brief glimpses into all aspects of this epic high fantasy realm. Presented too are the stats for each profile persona, as well as a picture of the customized miniature Corinne created for that persona. So it'll be a neat little package of cool stuff that we're going to put together when it's all said and done, and as a standalone piece for everybody to grab. I'm going to be kind of jazzed about that, because it'll be a fiction work that I did. Fiction's an area I'm still kind of wanting to do more stuff in. So that's just a little preview of something that we came up with that's coming. I want to go ahead and also preview the my persona, the my Shinetar persona web form. I want to give you guys an idea of what you're going to be asked for when this thing is released. It's being reviewed right now. I just put in hands, going to look at it, make sure I didn't mess up. But I want to go ahead and get you guys thinking in these terms so you're ready to fill out this form when we put it out there and make it public for you to fill out. Because this is how we're going to handle the big thank you stuff. So there's your name, and we need real names, not handles and crap like that. I need to deal with real people, okay? Your mailing address, that's going to be necessary if you actually want a physical miniature done and mailed to you. You got to have your mailing address. Now, if you don't want to have the miniature done for you, for whatever reason, you don't have to fill it out. We don't have to have your address then, but otherwise we're going to need it. We'll need your email address. I've got to be able to go back and forth and communicate with you. Then we'll need your persona name, and there's a link next to the question that gives you a link to the PDF in the fan share folder, and it's all about the types of names that are appropriate to different realms and things like that. If you're really, really stuck, just go into one of the forums or whatever, and we'll talk about it there, and we'll help you out. Or you put a name in, and if it's just not going to work, well, then we can I can help you out. We can talk about it. Okay, so let me get on with the rest of it. Then we'll go to the second page, and you have to choose a race or species. And I have a whole multiple choice thing, make it nice and easy. If you don't know what some of this stuff is, well, then don't pick it. But most of it's in the books. And since you really need to be kind of involved in the books, hopefully you at least grab the Shinetar Player's Guide, right? I mean, it's pay what you want, so you can get it for free if you really want to. So there's lots of cool stuff there. And yes, I put in villain races and monster races. I put in all kinds of stuff. You go nuts with this. This is not a player character necessarily. This is not your Justice in Life persona either. This is just somebody else you get to name and have in the world, and they're doing cool stuff. So, for example, Paul Barkley, one of the guys who's already contacted us, he's got this really cool idea for an information merchant kind of vampire. And we're like, okay, cool. So, kind of jumped the gun on me, but it was some really good ideas, and it actually gave me a cool example. But, we still got to fill it out like everybody else. And then I go through and I give a bunch of check boxes so you can choose one or more roles that your character fulfills in their day-to-day life in Shintar. You know, Grey Ranger, Knight, Druid, Sorcerer, Entertainer, Ex-Slave, Guide, Rebel, Criminal, Farmer, Acolyte, Necromancer, and there's always an other, right? There's always the other option as well. So there's just to give you some additional stuff to look at and go, let me just give some info. Then there's some very, very basic like Persona's biography. I mean, every one of these situations, I really need to keep it brief, guys. I don't have time to read novels for every single one of these characters. I just don't. So we got to keep it nice and tight and taut and brief. So, like 1 to 3 sentences on a biography, 1 to 2 sentences on my persona's current status or situation, and then faiths, beliefs, philosophies, right? Just a little brief thing on the mentality and attitude of the character. And then I've got a bunch of stuff in here that Corinne specifically needs for making your character. I mean, all the other stuff actually will kind of help her think about your character too, believe it or not. She really thinks about that stuff as she's making these miniatures, but also hair color, if it's appropriate. You know, some characters don't really have hair, but you can just put none or whatever. Eye color. Yes, she does eyes, okay? Skin tone. I put a little note in here about Fabrinci, indicate wild or domestic cat type. For Gordians, choose a shade of green, rich brown, or earthen tones, and for Goblin Ash, gray, green, or brown. And you can do a little more detail than that, but don't go too crazy. What kind of weapons does the character tend to prefer and use? What kind of armor does the character tend to wear, if any? Clothing style, right? Those kinds of things. And then the last page is anything else we should know. That's pretty much the catch-all, right? I need to put you in the description. It could be about for the miniature, or it could be just more information you want me to know about that character from a story perspective that you didn't put elsewhere. Again, don't go too crazy, because there's only so much I can deal with at once for 380 of these. I'm getting a wave in from over here. What?
Favorite color that the character in question likes to wear?
Okay. I need you to email me that so I know to have it as a note for changing the form. But favorite color? What are you thinking about that?
To wear.
Well, clothing style. I'll just modify the clothing style. All right, so that's what's coming with the My Shintar persona Doom Afflict, the questionnaire thing. So just so you guys have an idea what's going on there. All right, finally, I want to discuss from the perspective of the Justice and Light campaign, because again, that's a key aspect of what we're doing. Whether you prefer forums, actual forum type things, or if you like using social network pages for the player-to-player and everybody talking and interacting about and discussing the campaign stuff. I've got Al Beard. Al Bear. Sorry, guy. Al Bear. Really interesting story on Al Bear. We're in the middle of the we're at the very beginning of the 24-hour Death March broadcast, and he just happens to stumble across us, and he goes from like, "What is this?" to "I'm all in." And it turns out he's on sabbatical for like the next 9 months. So he has set up these gorgeous forums for us, and he's willing to be very day-to-day active, involved in responding and managing and maintaining and stuff like that. And there's a link to it currently on the Facebook group. I need to actually go to the G Plus group and link it up for you guys as well. But it's really cool, and I kind of like it. And so we're exploring seriously about full integration of that into our plans, not just for Justice in Life, but also for all Shintar fun and talking and discussion. I would like your feedback. I'd like for people to let me know, do you really like forums? Do you like to focus on them as the primary point of communication? Do you like to use them as a supplement to communication? Do you really prefer to keep the attention on the Facebook group and or the G Plus group? I mean, what is your preferred place for community, for your connecting to a world and the creator and the other gamers and stuff? So I'd like some feedback on that. Speaking of feedback, the Big Irish Vlog wants your feedback in terms of what would you like to see me discuss in the future. And it doesn't have to be about Shintar. It's a big focus right now. We just came off the Kickstarter, and that's a huge focus of my life. But anything else is fair game, from my gaming history, from Savage Worlds in general, or other stuff that I've done in gaming, or trends in gaming, or other geekery stuff. Anything you guys are interested in, drop a note in the comment section. I read them all. Or try to, and I'll try to set up vlogs in the future in response to y'all's questions. All right, that's going to be it for tonight. And thank you guys again for everybody who's signed up. There's a bunch of you. I keep getting a dozen or more people signing up to watch this thing, it seems, and on a daily basis, which is cool. I hope it's mildly entertaining and informative, educational, and fun. Or maybe you just like watching the goofy guy rant. Whatever it is, thanks for coming, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.